Terror alert on the Texas border. Growing concerns today that a member of a Somali terror group with suspected ties to Al-Qaeda may be trying to slip into the United States through Mexico. We first reported last week that Homeland Security officials had warned police in Houston be on the lookout for a suspected member of Al-Shabaab, which the U.S. deems a terrorist organization. But according to a recent report in the Washington Examiner, Mexican authorities caught nearly 24 suspected members of Al-Shabaab illegally entering the country earlier this year. Get this, short time later, the paper reports police mistakenly released them from custody. Let them go. We're told police say they believe the suspects were plotting ways to sneak across the border. Joining me now is Sara Carter, national security correspondent at the Washington Examiner. Sarah, what do you know about this particular individual that we have a high alert on, and the group in general?
Well, Greg, his name is Mohammed Noor. He's 35 years old, and he's a Somali citizen. He's actually a member of Al-Shabaab with direct ties to Al-Qaeda. And U.S. intelligence, as well as Mexican intelligence officials, didn't realize that he was part of the group that they had actually sequestered in Mexico and then released in January until after they released him. 16 of the 23 that were captured in Mexico were identified, but that leaves 7 unidentified, and Mohammed Noor a direct link to Al-Qaeda. And they believed that Mohammed Noor, along with 4 others, were heading towards the Texas border. So that's the last they've heard of him, and so far U.S. intelligence does not have them in their custody, according to the people that I've talked to.
Do they have any idea what he's up to?
Well, you know, that part is remaining sensitive. They do believe that he entered Mexico with the direct and most imminent idea of coming into the United States under some type of mission for Al-Shabaab. But nobody knows if it was meant for recruitment or if he was crossing the border to go through with an attack. So right now, it's up in the air. What I do know is that U.S. intelligence is looking for him, actively looking for him. And remember, a lot of these guys enter Yemen first. And right now, we're seeing 700,000 Somalis in Yemen actively being recruited by Al-Qaeda, some of them with direct links to Al-Shabaab even before they enter Yemen. And then once they leave Yemen, they flee to the UAE, they flee to Latin America. And so this is what we're seeing now, you know, and they're using the southern border as a means of entry into the United States.
Well, you know, how in the world could the Mexican government let these guys go mistakenly, which invites the question, how much help are we really getting from the government there?
Well, see, and that's the issue. I mean, I know that there's a lot of serious concern. I mean, when Mexico released these men, the U.S. became privy to it. When they asked to see the identification of the men that they did have in custody, the ones that they were able to identify, that's when the United States realized, U.S. intelligence realized, that one of the men that they released was directly connected to Al-Qaeda. And see, this is the serious problem that we're facing. These are the loopholes that put us potentially in serious risk. I mean, it is a national security failure, so this is something that I believe the U.S. and Mexico are working on now. But it's a little too late, some people say.
Well, the Mexican president seems to be preoccupied with Arizona's law and denouncing it instead of securing his own border. Is that a fair assessment?
Let me tell you, I was just on the phone today with several people, Mexican officials, who said the exact same thing. They're very concerned that the Mexican president isn't focused enough on what is going on in Mexico and is paying too much attention to state laws like Arizona. Instead of asking for the help that they believe they really need, the Mexican president is focused on the Arizona law. And look, you know, that both the U.S. and Mexican intelligence officials, those that are working on the ground, who understand this problem, believe that the border is a potential security risk. They also know that the Mexican border with Guatemala is a potential security risk. So, yeah, unfortunately, my conversations today with folks in Mexico was directly related to that, and they said, yes, this is a potential problem for both countries.
Yeah. I think we're going to send the Mexican president a copy of that law, which is actually a lot lighter than his harsh laws in Mexico on immigration. Sara Carter, national security correspondent, Washington Examiner. Thanks for the update.